Now, in systematics, it is the study of historical relationship of group of biological organism. Now, in taxonomy, we are directly studying the plant or species, and in systematics, we are studying the relationship of plant in relation with its history. Now, by definition or the term, as it is a Greek term, and it words like systema as applied to the system of classification developed by earlier naturalists. Now, in systematics, it is the recognition and understanding of the biodiversity. There are several definitions given by different workers for systematics. The first one, Blackwelder and Borden. It is a field dealing with kind of animal, their distinction, classification, and evolution. Now, again, I want to relate it with the taxonomy. In taxonomy, it is related with the classification nomenclature, while in systematics, we have to study the distinction among the species, their classification, and evolution in the species, if any. As per Simpson's, it is study or it deals with kinds and diversity of organism. Now, kinds of organism, diversity among the organism is included in systematics. Blackwelder defined the systematics as the science which includes both taxonomy and classification, and it also includes all other aspects dealing with the organism and data accumulated about them. Now, there is one more addition, that is data accumulated about the species. Now, as per the definition, it related with the history or historical review by naturalists. So, in systematics, we have to compile all the information about the species. As per Christopher Hansen, it is the ordering of diversity of organism, that is parts into a whole taxa. So in plant there are different parts, that accumulation of all the information of plant into a taxa, and as per Padayan, it is the philosophy of organization, nature, and taxonomy. Now this systematics, or we can call it as biosystematics, is broad term which gives us information or clear picture about the existing biodiversity on our earth. It also provides information for reconstruction of phylogeny of the life. It reveals or open up evolutionary phenomenon about the species, and it supplies information needed to entire branches of biology. Now again I repeat, in systematics we can have idea about the species. So it is mentioned here that it supplies the information needed for entire branches of biology. It also covers the study of ecologically and medicinally important organisms. Now again, as we are dealing with the taxonomy of angiosperm, and this entirely related with the systematics. Now what is difference between taxonomy and in systematics? In systematics, it is in general a systematic study of organism or species as whole, and in taxonomy, it is a theory and practice of identifying the plant. Now taxonomy deals with the identification, nomenclature, and classification of the organism, and systematics covers the evolutionary significance up to all aspects of the plant or all the species. Now the taxonomy again is Greek word taxis, that means arrangement, and nomos, that is law. So the term taxonomy is the lawful arrangement of the species or of the plant or the organism. Now in taxonomy we just go for identification. After identification the nomenclature is there, and also the classification is there. Now, how the taxonomy and systematics is correlated? In 1998, Kapoor studied or revealed the relationship of taxonomy to systematics. In taxonomy, again I repeat, it includes classification and nomenclature, and systematics include taxonomy and the evolution. So again I repeat, in taxonomy it is related with the identification, classification and nomenclature. So it is in total taxonomy, and in systematics it covers the taxonomy and the evolution in the species. Now what are the differences between taxonomy and systematics? Taxonomy is the branch of systematic. So systematic is broader term which has the taxonomy as one part and evolution is the another part. Taxonomy is concerned with nomenclature, description, classification and identification, and systematics provide layout of all taxonomic functions. In systematics, it is the evolutionary study. So how the species get evolved, that we have to study under systematics, and in taxonomy it is not there. For systematic studies, we have to consider the other factors like environment, because the environmental factors are related with the evolution. There are different environmental factors like biotic and abiotic factor, and these have role in evolution of the species or variation among the species. And in taxonomy it is not there. Taxonomy is subjected to change of time in course of time, and systematic is not changed if it is properly done. So in taxonomy, again it is the identification of species, it is nomenclature of the species, it is the classification of the species. So we have seen in several times that the nomenclature of the species is changed. The families which the species was earlier included is now changed in the another family. The nomenclature is also changed. So in taxonomy the changes may take place, but in systematics, as we have started from the beginning, that is we have started in the earlier time when the species is from, and with all ecological environmental aspects or the taxonomical aspects of the species, and you also studied the evolution of the species. So systematics will not be changed because it is the proper understanding of the species throughout its life. Now the systematics, again it is important because it has contributed in the biology, because the systematic is key for understanding biodiversity. It also helps, it also gives us the fundamental knowledge about the species, and this fundamental knowledge help us to identify the sustainable resource management. Now here the sustainable resource management, which include, if we identify the species properly, if we find out the characteristics of the species properly, and we can find out the resource properly, we can go for sustainable management of that species, or in other words that resource. This systematics helps in environmental protection because we can study the species with respect to evolution. So it also helps in protection of the species or the environment. Landscape preservation to food security. Now the systematics also helps in preservation of landscape, and if we go in detail about the species, this will leads finally into food security. And it also provides skills to make policies for successful implementation of preservation and management. Again, in taxonomy we are just studying the species for their classification and nomenclature, and systematics we are studying the species throughout its life. So if we identify the systematics carefully, this will help to define some policies for conservation and management of biodiversity. So the systematic study again related with the conservation biology. Now the biology or when we think about the conservation aspects of systematics, this divide in two basic types, that is the biology can be theoretical and the biology can be applied. In theoretical biology, as the term indicates, it is a theory and it helps in making conceptual contribution like population. Now, theoretical biology is responsible for solving the problem of multiplication of species. And there is one interesting word here, mimicry and other evolutionary areas have been clearly understood through taxonomy. Now, what is the mimicry in biology or in taxonomy or in systematics? How the term mimicry related with the plants? Now, as we all know, mimicry, that is copying some others, like someone has the voice of Amitabh Bachchan, likewise, and he mimic Amitabh Bachchan. Likely, in plants also there is a mimicry, because sometimes in some plants the nectar, good smell is there, nectar is there, and the insect is attracting towards that nectar. And sometimes the flower color, architecture of flower is something which is attracting the insects, or sometimes the color of leaf is attracting the insects, and sometimes the defense mechanism also. So mimicry is like to become like this, or to become like that, or to wise like that. So we are mimicking. And this theoretical biology studies helps in mimicry or other evolutionary areas. It also gives idea about development of behavioral science. Whereas in applied biology, how the systematics is related with the conservation, so it is by two ways, theoretical biology and applied biology. Now these systematic studies provide basic understanding about the component of biodiversity. In that, the systematics is related with the agriculture and forestry. So, in detail study of plants or taxonomic classification of the plant, two is evolution, which helps in planning in agriculture and forestry. It helps in biological control. It helps in public health. It helps in wildlife management. It helps in mineral processing, national defense, environmental pollution, soil fertility, and commerce. So we are not going into the detail for today's lecture. So these are the different terms with which